Today on What Went Wrong, we talk about using your friends in your movies. Uh-oh. Hi, I'm Brett Mauser, and I've been making movies for quite a while now, and I started off in high school making them, which means I didn't have access to the professional actors and didn't want them. It wasn't even a thought. It was just about making movies, run around with a camera with your friends. Yeah. And that's all it was. And as it became more and more of something that I wanted to do with my life and became more serious about it, I needed to up the acting game. But when you start off with a group of friends, most of them will just kind of drizzle away when they realize how hard a work it is and that it's more difficult. But there's still some that, hey, this is kind of cool and I enjoy this. But you're like, oh my God, would you suck monkey balls? So there's that tough part where you got that loyalty to it and whatnot. But there comes a time where you're ready to make the serious movies, and especially when you have some very dramatic moments, and this will come into what went wrong. We'll do eventually about how to keep that drama from getting hokey. Okay. I think we had talked about some of that a little bit, but you have to thin the herd. And this is an incredible group of people to talk to about that, because the friend I've known the longest. Then we have a friend of mine who made a lot of movies for me when I was in the Friends phase, and has come back and been able and can see it from a perspective of working with more professional people. And Dub, who a friend, but came in during that shift to professionalism, and as a filmmaker yourself, can speak to working with friends and that aspect of, well, I love this person, but they can't act their way out of a paper bag, kind of a thing. So we can talk about that. So I'm going to throw it right on the table about the good things about working with friends. For me, it was the good times, and especially being the high school summers and making the movies and just having, you watch the movies, they're so god awful, but you laugh your ass off because people will say, oh, it looks like a whole movie. It is a whole movie.
It is. Yeah.
You really are just watching whole movies because this is the way you were when you were growing up. One of the most phenomenal fan films I've ever seen was the Raiders of the Lost Ark remake, where these kids in the 1980s, just after they saw Raiders of the Lost Ark, got their VHS camera, these 10-year-olds, and started remaking Raiders of the Lost Ark shot for shot.
Oh, wow.
And it took them like 10 years until they graduated high school. So, in some scenes he's 10, in some scenes he's 17. He got his first kiss on the set of this movie, and they were only ever to never miss. They only missed one scene, and it was the airplane scene. And when it premiered at the Draft House, I think it was the Draft House. Somebody had seen it, and it became a big thing. Got to Lucas, he saw it. Spielberg saw it. And somebody GoFunded it, and they were able to get money to go back in their 30s or 40s and shoot this scene. And there's a great documentary about it.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
That is really cool.
I've never heard of that one.
And you literally get to see these kids grow up while they're making a film, from when they were 10 to when they were, eventually 35, And they had separated, and they hadn't talked to each other in years, but they came back to shoot this thing. So there's something magical about that. And even if our films never go anywhere, or become famous or popular or anything, on my deathbed, I'll still be able to have things that people can remember those moments by, what we did.
On your deathbed, you have friends, right? Like at the end of the day, you said that's the. What is it about shooting with your friends, and that's it. It's for me, I do this because you guys are my family. You guys have become my family. We talked about this on a previous episode. It's what brings the people back. And so working with friends, it's like, on your deathbed, you'll be able to say, I was able to direct that dude and tell him to do all this kind of stuff, but I would be there at your deathbed, right? You know what I mean? And so I think in a lot of films, you have people that they don't have that kind of a connection. It's just, I've hired this actor, I've hired this actress to come in and play this role, but I don't know this actor and I don't know this actress, and they've got their own life going on, and they've got other films that they're working on and people that they know, and you know what I mean, stuff like that. And so that's their own world. So to have your own world and to be working with friends, that's the key, is that friends will be there with you through the good and through the bad and through the ups and through the downs and through the horrible movies like Barrio Angel, and you know, stuff like that. And then now here we are full circle with Tag, you know, a film that you've done with your friends from 1997, I think 1998, into 20. I don't even know where in the hell are we. 2021. It's COVID, man. It put me locked up. But so here we are, 2021. Yes, I'm drinking the passion fruit mango too. I can't shout out to the passion fruit mango. I didn't want another Budweiser, but that's
only you know.
We'll edit that part out.
But that's the cool thing about working with your friends, is that you know that you have people that when you show up on set, it's like, yeah, you know what I mean? What's up? It's not, I just hired this person. I've been on sets where people have just sat in the corner because they were hired to do a part. And I've been on that same set where I've met people that I know already on that set, and we're hanging out and we're running around and we're pointing and laughing at people, and it's the camaraderie. You mentioned it last night, man. Mm-hmm. Camaraderie is huge on set.
Now you stepping foot in back on since for 15 since 15 years, and I one of the questions I ask you almost every day is like, how is it? How is it different?
Well, number one, I'm having a freaking ball, man. This is so much fun. I forgot how much work it is, but I'm having a ball. When we used to do it before, we were serious about it, but like we talked before, is like we didn't really know how to do it or what we were doing. And you know, now that there's a different type of direction, and it's like I'm working with people who are professionally good, and I'm corporate management. I tell people what to do. I don't go and learn how to act. You know what I mean? So it's intimidating in a lot of ways because I have to really step up my game to really, you know, number one, because you're my friend, I want to make you proud. I want you to sit there and go, why in the did I bring Ty out for this? I want you to be sitting there going, yeah, I brought Ty out for this one, you know. That's a big one, and so it drives me to go further.
We laugh a little bit to what you say. We laugh and joke about, you know, how normally on set I will call people by their character name. Mm-hmm. You know, if somebody, you know, if Nicole is playing Leslie on set, I'll be, Leslie, come over here. Leslie, do this. Leslie, do that. But on you, I'm calling Hal Ty.
Yeah.
So Ty comes in the door, and Hal comes in the door. Yeah. But we laugh and joke about, well, you are Hal, kind of thing. But not really.
Not really.
And that's why I can say you don't have anything to worry about, or I don't want to say degrade yourself as, oh, I'm not an actor. You are, because when we watch the dailies and we see Hal, that is Hal. Yeah. That's not Ty.
That's not Ty. It's Hal.
It is Hal. I mean, only Ty can bring Hal to life.
Yeah.
But that is Hal, and that's why we brought you back, is because it's Hal.
Well, I think also as the ability as a writer to be working with your friends, you have the ability. You know their limits. You know what your friends can do.
The Cartel Barrio Angels thing that we've talked about in the past, where the first day on Cartel Killers, I give you the script and you look, Brett, I can't say. This sounds like Queen Elizabeth. And then when I give you the script to Barrio Angels, you're like,
better.
I can say it because I know you, and you know I worked around you, and I got your pacing, your tone.
Yeah.
When I'm writing, I hear you in my head.
That's the benefit. That's the benefit, because when you're working with a bunch of, and shout out to Happy Madison, you know, that whole crew, because they, you know, I think that whole blueprint is underrated. I think the blueprint of only using your friends, I think, is underrated. You know, and you know, of course, you got to bring in other people every now and then too, because you don't want to be around some of your friends sometimes. That mother. But I think the idea of using people that you know is underrated, because as a writer, you can write to that. I can write a story with him now. You know what I mean? all these years that I've known him only by film, now that I'm actually here and I'm on set with him, which I still can't believe I'm on set with you too, man. I'll just tell you right now. But now that I'm on set with you, like I mannerisms become different, right? And so if I were to write a character, I have friends in mind now that I know exactly who can play these roles, instead of having to go out and do a specific casting call, or who is it that I can get to fit in this mold that I wrote in my mind, when I already saw my friend in my head when I wrote this, the story. So I think that's a huge benefit, to be able to bring people back, or even potentially like with the tag role, even potentially bring your friends back and put them in different roles that you didn't potentially see them in. Again, you kind of still know, well, now I can start writing around this, and then it maybe even potentially shifts the story a little bit, and then kind of brings things, and maybe makes you have to rewrite the story to fix what you did previously, and so I think using people that not just from the acting world, but people that you actually know, is a huge benefit.
Mr. Price, in terms of film,
yeah.
You have no interest to be here. You don't want to be here at all.
Not even a little bit.
Jeff, you want to do a what? What went wrong? Story? Yes. No.
But he likes the stories.
I like the stories.
You're a.
I like the thing. They typically are. Yeah, talking about. I'm not interested in movies. I'm not interested in films. I actually can barely watch most movies. I either don't have the attention span, or something happens within the first couple of minutes and I'm like, and I'm out. I just can't. I can't. So no, I have little to no interest being here. And when you tell me you want me to come do something for you, I'm just kind of like, okay. Yeah, so what's your question?
Why do you do it?
Well, the camaraderie being one. I've known you for 30 plus years, and I've been nothing but enjoyed everything I've ever done on any of your sets. It's one of what we talked about the other day when we were talking about Blue Moon and what went wrong stuff, and you asked me why. All in a Brett Mazur film. Why do you keep doing it? I said it before. It's just the stories. Are you kidding me? It's a great time. It's hilarious. I love doing it.
It is.
I don't like doing the acting part.
You're really good at it, man.
I have no desire to do it. It's not something I enjoy. It's not something I like. It's not something I've ever wanted. Even when we were kids and you loved it and I was along for the ride, I still didn't like it back then. We were 16, 17 years old. Like, you want to be part of a movie? Okay. And we had a project to do, and I guess I wanted to do it. But I was just kind of like, can I do something where I'm not actually doing anything, just kind of sitting over here very quietly, being unobtrusive and not having to deal with it, Jeff, come over here and do this thing. Okay. Throw yourself down the stairs. All right.
Yeah, you
run
do
yourself
it
into the mirror. Okay.
very well. You do it very well.
And I appreciate that.
And that goes back to what you were saying about maybe, because the friends, I want to do this, even though I don't want to do it.
Here's the reason I do this thing that I do. I've known you for so long. We've been through quite a bit of stuff together that has nothing to do with the movies. I mean, just life in general. You and I have been through, marriages and girlfriends and divorces and people dying and friends dying, my father, and just, I mean, you've always been there. Like it's come up 20 years since my father died, and you picked me up at the airport, and you took me to Fort Hood to get my uniform fixed, and you were there at the funeral, and I came to visit you afterwards, and nobody else was there for me, like you were. I've helped you move a number of times.
Yeah, good Lord.
You've helped me move once.
And I was telling him, I got the phone call, hey Brett, you remember all those times I helped you move? Yeah, payback's a bitch.
I think I said payback is a bitch, mother. I think that's probably what I said. Because it was a big one. It was like, Germany to Texas to Florida. It was a big old nasty move. I need you to drive my pickup truck, and if you mess it up, you'll have to die.
Yeah, it was life-threatening. Yeah, it was life-threatening. Only two people have ever driven your truck besides you.
I will pitch your body into the Everglades, But yeah, it's one of those things to where the friendship I have with you has got nothing to do with movies. Not a thing. If you weren't in movies, I'd still be your friend. If we weren't doing this, I'd still be, doing stuff, okay? But for some godforsaken reason, you like doing these movies. And I enjoy hanging out with you. And more importantly, if I can be useful to you in some way, I will. Because you're one of my best friends. And if I can do something in order to help you achieve your dreams, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get that just from a casting call.
No.
Right?
I'm right there with him too. I mean,
Yeah.
you're one of my best friends in the world. You and I met because of movies, because we were interested kind of in doing that. But it was always a moonlighting thing for me because it was always a secondary thing for me. It was never what I anticipated doing for my whole entire life.
I mean, we one time talked that you even asked me, if you could pay me whatever you wanted to pay me to do this stuff. And I was like, you don't have enough money to make me want to do this. Now, if you want me to fly for you, I'm pretty expensive, but we can do that. I don't think you can afford me, but I would do that for you. But if you want me to actually be acting with actual actors doing acting stuff, you're out of your damn mind. Now, like I said, when you come to me and you say, Jeff, I want you to do this. I want you to be this. And you give me a script and I've got lines and I'm like, okay. Now, the same thing you were saying earlier was that I was there when it was just you and me and Jake and Stephen Ruff and all these guys who were just out there.
Jake being Jacob Spradlin.
Jacob Spradlin, yeah, not Jake
Jake
Nuckschmack. Chairman Benedict Cumberbatch.
McChairmansky.
Yetchmanek.
Chair Jackmanek. Yuckman Meister.
Close enough.
Jake Schmackschmack. No, Jacob Spradlin, friend of ours from high school, and you and he were in CADS together, the Kingwood Acting Debating Squad, and y'all had come up together doing that, and we went to Pittsburgh together for your aunt's wedding, and we drove around. You and I went to San Antonio all the time, and Austin, and we just went to Los Angeles together. I went to Denver, Colorado with you. I went to Pittsburgh with you. Went to Florida together. All these different. You came to Germany when I was in the service there, when I was based there. And so we've traveled around with each other, and now, like I said, you've got actual actors doing stuff, okay, which I am not. And I've also talked about why the joke is I hate actors, which is mostly true, but not exactly true. The problem is I have with most actors, as you've had them in the past, was they weren't. I believe if you're going to be good at something, if you're going to do something, be very good at something. And if you're going to be very good at it, you have to love the craft. Okay. I don't love the craft. I don't work at the craft. I don't practice the craft. Ergo, I don't feel like I can consider myself an actor because I believe an actor should be someone who loves it and practices it and cherishes it and wants to do better all the time. That should be who they are. Okay. So if you're going to call yourself an actor or a painter or a writer or a race car driver or a pilot or whatever you're going to call yourself, you should work very, 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 very hard to be really good at that one thing. Okay. The problem is so many of the actors that you had in the past didn't love the craft. They may have loved the idea of the craft. They may have thought it would be kind of cool to do it, but that's not what they were. That's not who they were.
There's a lot of social activity people. They
Yeah,
were
that
there
was
to
me.
go hang out with people.
That was
right?
me.
And, pick
That was
up on
me.
chicks and
That was me. I never saw myself as an actor. We've talked about this for years.
Yeah.
I never saw myself as an actor.
Yeah.
I never saw myself in being film, music. And you gave me the caveat. Well, you can do music and you can be in my films. Oh, sign me up, son. Right? And but I only continued to do acting because you became my friend. Had I not done anything after, I would have never done it. I would have never acted anything else after, if we had not been friends.
Yeah.
I would have never known how to act if it wasn't for Brett.
Well,
It's like you're the one who literally taught me how to do it. Like, gosh, that was f***ing awful, Ty. Do that again.
That was god awful. Shut up, Ty. F*** you. You're stupid.
That scared the hell out of him. We were shooting a scene. I think we told you we were shooting a scene, and his first take.
Reading off the teleprompter. You are going to play a game.
He finishes, and Dub's on the couch just doing something and here's me go, cut. That was god awful.
You got to do
And that was the first time he'd ever heard me do anything like that.
Never in my life have I ever seen or heard Brett talk bad about anybody on set. If they're bad,
Yeah.
Brett has always just been like, it, we'll fix it in post.
Well, and see, the thing is,
But I tell him to be honest with me.
He was like, cut. That was god awful.
You need to do it better.
Let me make sure I know my lines. I don't want no trouble.
Well, I was reading
when
up a
it comes to-
teleprompter.
when it comes to how we go from that to the more professional actors, okay, to the people who've been doing it longer, and you still have me here, and so I have to step up, and it is somewhat disconcerting and discombobulating, if you will, for me to be on a set with professional actors. And I was telling, I was like, I spent the greater part of a lot of my flying around last month with my iPad out, reading, rehearsing my lines, sitting there in the middle of the night over the Pacific Ocean, reading my lines, and, saying my lines over and over again, then trying them some other different way, and calling Denise. It's like, hey, I need help. Can you tell me how to do this? She's like, well, what do you? I'm trying to talk to her because she's one of the best I've ever seen. And trying to get, because I realized that we've gone past the time where we're just hanging out with friends. Mm-hmm. We're no longer just, goofing off in the back. We're no longer making home movies. We've stepped it up. For some reason, you still want me here. Okay?
Yeah, and I feel you on that.
And it's scared. It's somewhat scary and disconcerting, the fact that you still want to have friends acting on your set when I kind of don't think I deserve to be there.
Well,
because hang on just a second, because the reason is, once again, it's not my craft. And I kind of think the people who would do a better job are those that practice it as their craft, like that's what they're doing, as opposed to me, who's just like going over lines by myself in the middle of the night over the Pacific Ocean.
Well, look at me. Acting has never been my craft. I don't want to be an actor. I still don't want to be an actor.
Right.
I've had a lot of fun with it, and so now I enjoy it. But when I first got on the very first set with him, I never considered myself an actor.
Right.
And so it wasn't my craft. And so while I didn't take it seriously, kind of going back to what we talked about before, it was just kind of showing up. I can say this because I can get away with it, because he can say, all right, yeah, that'll work. I'll make that work.
Right.
And so it wasn't a craft. It wasn't something that I began to hone. I've never had an acting class.
Right.
But I'm an acting teacher.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is when we're in the friends section, when we're, 20 years ago, we're just goofing off and we're doing stuff in Denver. I don't mind saying the lines, okay? Because as your friend, you're my friend, you want me to do this, I'm good with that. And I know that if I'm not that good, it's not that big of a deal, because you are still happy with what I'm doing. And I'm happy if you're happy. The problem is, as an actor, or as a director, as a filmmaker, when you step past that point of having friends, now it becomes uncomfortable for when you have that friend who can't act.
Mm-hmm. So now,
and I'm terrified.
Oh, please.
No, please.
I'm gonna explain why. For you, I feel you're an actor. How do I put this? You're a character actor. Mm-hmm. I would say you're a two-shot wonder. You could the Dr. Fish type and the Hal. Mm-hmm. Now, I'll tell you why you're appropriate for these films and why you escape thinning the herd. You're an actor. Shut up. You appreciate the craft. You love it. And you know it. You go to any movie, and you're going to see even in Hollywood movies, you're going to see a difference between, you're going to see different types of people up there on the big screen. And you have the actors, but then you also have the performers. Mm-hmm. And those are the comedians that have turned actors, or the people that are good at most. I guess comedians are the best way. Yeah. The people that were comedians, and you're a performer. You're not an actor. Mm-hmm. But anyone who's ever met you, from Selma Hayek to something like that, you entertain. You will sit down. People, I mean, the way we are here is the way you are in real life.
Yeah. And
you just inform and educate, but entertain. You have stories, you have jokes, and you're not, like I said, you're not an actor, you're a performer. When people sit down, they're entertained by you, and you're captivating. Ugh. And people just love to sit there and listen to you tell stories. And you have that charisma and that charm that pulls people in. Acting, movies, I would neere put you on a stage. Because you would never step on stage, even if I asked you to. Because you wouldn't. It's not where you are. It's not. It's so unnatural for you. This being in front of a camera, if you like I said, there's so many different types of people in a movie, and when you go to a movie, you're there to be entertained, as opposed to go to, I would say, there's sort of an air of theater, where you go to and you can tell someone who's not an actor. You can't throw, say, like maybe
Smokey.
Yeah, say maybe a Chris Tucker up on stage. He'll play Chris Tucker. But you're on stage kind of going, well, no. But put him on stage as a comedian.
Right.
He's great.
Right.
But trying to have him play in Death of a Salesman is not going to work.
Yeah.
I watched, he's getting mixed reviews, but Chris Rock in that new Saw movie. Even from the trailers, I'm kind of like, I love Chris Rock to death, but because he's not being Chris Rock.
Right.
Kind of the same thing with you. You have those two types of ways that you, and 90% of them, you're playing Jeff, Mike Lorenzo's friend.
Right.
You're playing Jeff Bryce. And then there's the dark Jeff, who is dark Jeff sometimes. You're never really stepping outside of your comfort zone in terms of acting.
Right.
I never ask you to sit there at the at the deathbed of somebody and cry your eyes out. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
can
gonna
play
put
gay
you in
characters
that.
several times. I've done that before. Roll that footage.
Drinking out of the closet now. This is not very great.
But I'm not going to have you act. I'm going to have you perform. And when you're there, and what you as the Jeff character are always doing is watching out for Mike Lorenzo.
Yeah.
And who is Mike Lorenzo? It's Brett. What have you and I always done for each other?
Looked out for each other.
Friends.
And that's why you're here.
Well, thank goodness I'm entertaining.
And if you had the personality of a rock, you would not be in the movies.
Okay.
As much as I loved you to death, that wouldn't be the
That would
Unless
be
there
very
was
entertaining.
a role for you for that.
Yeah.
Right? Because you know that's
you could
your
be
boy.
the dude dying in the band.
Because you know that's your boy, and that's the one that can play that role very specifically because you know that person. You don't have to do a
I'm
casting
the dead
for it.
guy, and they just kind of throw blood on me. That's
So
the dead guy.
so you can still work with your friends, but know where to put them.
Yeah.
Maybe they're the guy that goes and gets the donuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or they're the dead guy that's that's on the ground.
But you do need to make that distinction because there will come a time when you have that good friend who's been there for the longest time, and you love hanging out with them, you love talking to them, but they will become an anchor.
Well, you got to tell them. You have to tell them at some point. Like this is just not going to. Yeah, it's like this is unfortunately. I wrote this, and there's no part for you in this, or there's no room for you in this particular one as an actor.
Yeah.
However, as my boy, or whatever that looks like, as my girl, whatever, you can hold a boom.
And we could still do the thing to where I'm still, part of Not So Sane, which I am. Mm-hmm. And so I don't have to ever get in front of the camera again. I know I'm going to have to, but
Yes.
yes,
you will.
yes, I will. But it's one of those things to where you, as the director, as the writer, have to make that distinction. And if you don't mind what they're doing, or if what they are doing is okay with you, it's your movie, it's your production, it's your show. You can do whatever you want. Just understand that you might come to a point to where you have to make that calling, if you will.
You're not gonna fit the cut. Hey, I want to say shout out to my new friends, Kerosene Drifters, too, by the way.